Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Highest single-day rise in COVID-19 cases since the start of a pandemic recorded. Pfizer vaccine gets FDA full approval. And later girls group known for 2023 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. I'm Shane Masters. Here are the details. We begin with news that Jamaica has recorded its highest daily COVID-19 case count since the first case was detected in the country. The country recorded 879 new cases of the coronavirus from 2,710 samples. The island's COVID-19 positivity rate now stands at 43.9%. The total case count is 62,712. Hospitalizations from COVID-19 are also at record highs. 607 people are now hospitalized with the virus, up from 573 on Saturday. 60 of those hospitalized are critically ill. There are 13,140 active cases on the island. In the meantime, the virus also claimed 14 more lives for the period August 2021, increasing the death toll to 1,402. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, today gave full approval to the COVID-19 vaccine made by Pfizer Incorporated and German partner BioNTech for use in people over the age of 16. This is the first coronavirus vaccine approved by the FDA and is expected to open the door to more vaccine mandates. In its announcement, the FDA said the vaccine will now be marketed for the prevention of COVID-19 disease in individuals 16 years of age and older. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has been authorized for emergency use in the United States since mid-December for people aged 16 and older. In May, the authorization was extended to those 12 and older. Out of more than 170 million people in the United States fully vaccinated against COVID-19, more than 92 million have received the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. But what does this really mean? We sought a response from Professor of Public Health, Peter Figueroa.
The FDA now assesses that they have sufficient evidence that this vaccine is both effective against COVID as well as safe.
U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy had said the decision by the FDA would be good for businesses and universities that have been thinking about putting vaccine requirements in place in order to create safer spaces for people to work and learn. But locally, Professor Figueroa says a lot more would need to be taken into consideration.
When you have a limited supply of vaccine and you have many persons who want to get the vaccine, but they need to, roll it out, then it's best mandated at that time. When you have sufficient vaccine and most people are vaccinated, then you can look at whether there is a need to mandate it or not. So I think it's premature to be talking about mandating vaccines in Jamaica.
The approval comes as the government just this past weekend started the vaccination of students 12 years and older with the Pfizer vaccine as a precursor to the resumption of face-to-face classes in mid-October for high school students. It's the start of a work week and the second day of island-wide lockdown. Today is different because Jamaicans have never before seen empty streets on what should be a work day. So what do the streets of a corporate area look like? Cody and Barrett went to find out.
I'm standing in downtown Kingston, one of Jamaica's major transport hub. Now behind me is where buses would have been loaded, and over in this side, this area would have been crowded with vendors. Stores and wholesales would have been open. But as the country battles a new wave of the coronavirus, the government has issued a lockdown. 7 days, no movement. That means for some businesses, they would have to issue work-from-home orders, and for others who can't, they would just have to remain closed. Now, the restrictions began on Sunday yesterday and will last until Tuesday, and again on Sunday, August 29, to Tuesday, August 31, and again on September 5. Now, a typical Monday morning in downtown Kingston would have persons traveling to work, doing their daily tasks, or running errands. But with the restrictions, persons are prohibited from leaving their homes. We did, however, observe some healthcare workers waiting on public transportation. We also saw a few employees of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC, as well as a few taxi operators, and some persons just casually strolling by. We tried to speak with some persons to find out why they were on the road during the lockdown, but they were unwilling to speak to our news team. But over in St. Thomas, a different scene. No one was spotted roaming the streets except for this goat. Since the beginning of the pandemic, Jamaica has recorded over 60,000 total cases. More than 17,000 were reported in the past month. Last Wednesday, it was revealed that 22 COVID samples tested positive for the Delta variant. Cody Ann Barrett, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, the operational hours of the courts have been impacted by the no-movement days. Director of Client Services, Communications and Information at the Court Administration Division, Kadish Fletcher, said all courts will be closed early on no-movement days.
While the courts are exempt under the Disaster Risk Management Act, we foresee that there will be a challenge for some persons to appear in court and also for our staff members who ordinarily require public transportation. As a result, on no-movement days, court will be open at 8:30 a.m. and will close at 1 p.m. Importantly, reporting conditions for bail are suspended for persons reporting to police stations on no-movement days. Reporting conditions, however, will be reinstated immediately after the expiration of no-movement days.
Now, according to a release from the Court Administration Division, only emergency matters will be heard in the parish courts. It said new dates have been assigned for matters that were listed on no-movement days. Chairman of the Southern Regional Health Authority, Wayne Chen, is raising concern about healthcare workers on the front line who are burnt out as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shamala Pulen reports.
Like most hospitals across Jamaica, bed spaces at Mandeville Regional, Mapen and Black River have all been occupied.
The hospitals are full. There's no if and but about it. We are shifting around now to make more space for COVID cases.
Chairman of the Southern Regional Health Authority, under which the hospitals fall, says for now the facilities are good on oxygen because they were prepared for the surge in COVID cases. But there's a challenge.
In some of the hospitals, you have piped oxygen and they go to specific spaces. So when you're trying to put additional beds into new spaces, it is the cylinders that you need. And we need to have a quick turnaround. Luckily, the supplier has been really up to the speed, and we're using up oxygen fast. There's no doubt about it.
But Mr. Chen says a bigger concern for the Regional Health Authority relates to healthcare workers who are on the front line treating these patients.
We have been at it now since March of last year, and to really ask human beings to give up themselves. But we're talking about going almost a year and a half, almost 18 months. They're just tired. They need more time with their families. They need time to recuperate. They need time to adjust. But we keep pushing at them. So, my real concern now is how much longer they can cope with the increase in numbers.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chen says he's hoping more Jamaicans will take up the vaccines to help put an end to the pandemic soon. He says the vaccination blitz, which started on Saturday for young people, has been fairly good so far.
I will say this, that we had seen a little tapering off in demand, but I can tell you now that when we push out again with the AstraZeneca, we're going to have what I would call some pent-up demand to address. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that the numbers will continue to improve and even get higher as time goes on, because right now the biggest opportunity for Jamaica is to really get more and more people vaccinated to cut down the need for the hospital beds.
Shamela Pulen, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. To an update on the fire at the Jamaica Refinery now. 7 employees were treated for smoke inhalation following Sunday's major fire at the facility. In a statement, the company said no one was seriously injured in the blaze and the employees have been released. They say the fire started about 3 p.m. at the powerhouse that produces power, compressed air, and steam for the refining operations. Jamaica is part of partly government-owned. It mines bauxite and refines it into alumina. Our news center understands that fire investigators are still on the scene trying to determine the cause of the fire. We also understand that work also resumed on some parts of the plant today. There has been no estimate on the full extent of the damage. Calls this afternoon for special infrastructure development attention to be given to communities labeled as ghettos. It follows a recent tour of the Gregory Park community in St. Catherine by the new commanding officer and Member of Parliament for East Central St. Catherine. Infrastructural development is needed. The call from commanding officer for the St. Catherine South Police Division, Superintendent Christopher Phillips. It comes as a community of Gregory Park within the division has been rocked with a spate of murders over the last few weeks. Following a tour of several communities in the police division last week, Superintendent Phillips noted that his team will face a significant battle in the fight against crime.
It's like a death trap inside there going through some of those communities. Frankly speaking, the issues are really beyond some of what we can do as the police. I think in some cases this need emergency response, emergency development of these areas to really look on the infrastructure in these communities, the opportunities that the youngsters have. It's really an emergency, if you ask me. We really need an emergency response to some of what is happening in these communities.
Member of Parliament Alando Terrelong says discussions have been held with a number of institutions in a bid to uplift the infrastructure of the community.
We've been in discussions with NHT for several years now, all right? It is our hope to get NHT on board so we can redevelop the communities of Gulf and Mexico, all right? Get rid of the, the sort of informal settlement. When you look at Gulf and Mexico, all right, because of the zinc and the dirt and everything, it provides a gate haven for people to do foolishness, all right, and escape back to the Dyke Road.
But for the commanding officer, no effort will be spared in getting rid of criminal elements. Superintendent Phillips says since announcing the names of persons of interest in the division last week, 3 persons have already made contact with the police.
Since all of that, we have had additional information about some other players who in a very short time we are also going to publish those names. We are serious about it, that we want this community to be a safe one and for people to be able to go about their lawful business.
2 people were killed in separate incidents in Rosetown, St. Andrew on what was supposed to be a no movement day on Sunday. More in this report.
It's become a thorn in their sides. That's how residents of Rosetown are describing the community following the murder of a woman Sunday morning. 56-year-old Paula Raphael was killed close to midday in her yard on Unity Lane.
Why, she was the kindest person. Jovial, with her one daughter, nothing else. So she that. My sister just nice.
The police report says the woman was sweeping her yard when a lone gunman jumped over the wall and approached her. She was shot multiple times.
She always sweep the yard. So she was there sweeping the yard. And that's when we heard the shots. How many shots you heard? About 2. Because even she bawled out, Mama, Mama, Mama.
Our news center understands that Sunday's murder may be linked to a shooting on Bentley Lane that happened sometime after 1 a.m. Sunday. 4 people were shot, 1 fatally. The deceased has been identified as Ricky Kelly.
I hear the shot, then I jump out of my sleep, lock off the TV and lock off the fan.
Gunmen reportedly entered the yard, which is separated by a gully, came through this window and shot Kelly several times. Meanwhile, people continue to move out of the area. They say they've given up on Rosetown.
I wonder why to stop. I fear for my life. I not lie. I just want this to stop because I have my family all over. And I need this to stop.
Head of the West Kingston Police Superintendent Michael Phipps says police and soldiers have been deployed in the community to restore calm amid the shootings, as well as other sections of Lower Maxfield Avenue. Last Friday, another woman, Jacqueline Buckler, was murdered. Despite the increased police presence, residents are doubtful that the violence will stop.
We're tired of it and them say woman I go get it and we can't sleep at night, we can't eat, we traumatized, everybody traumatized. Even the kids them traumatized, everybody traumatized.
And for the latest in the economy, here's Codian Barrett with a Business Minute.
News President of the Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Alliance, Donovan Wignall, says while the lockdowns are necessary, small businesses will need some assistance to stay afloat.
There is an initiative from myself, the MSME Alliance, and the Small Business Association where we will request, and probably have requested already, that the government look at moratoria for some taxes, waiver of penalties for GCT, etc.
And in business internationally, the shipping crisis is getting worse. The distribution to the global supply chain since the start of the pandemic has spurred a shortage of products and higher prices for shoppers this holiday season. The latest issue, a China terminal shut down because of positive COVID-19 cases, causing bottlenecks and delays for other shipping lines. There's also a truck driver shortage in the US and in the United Kingdom. And
now for the top regional and international stories. In the region, the governments of Switzerland and the Dominican Republic have both offered humanitarian aid and other forms of assistance to Haiti in the aftermath of the recent earthquake. According to officials in Switzerland, the country has mobilized specialized staff and equipment to support the Haitian civil protection. In Barbados, the opposition Democratic Labour Party DLP has re-elected 50-year-old Verla de Pieza as its leader as the party gears up for the next general election, constitutionally due in 2023. The DLP was swept out of office in 2018 by the Mia Mottley-led Barbados Labour Party, with the party failing to win a seat in the 30-seat parliament. On the international scene, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's resignation takes effect today. Cuomo announced his resignation 2 weeks ago. He was facing impeachment after the state attorney general released a report finding he had sexually harassed 11 women. Cuomo has denied all of the allegations. And there's still chaos in Kabul a week after the Taliban takeover. Firefight broke out Monday morning when a sniper started shooting at Afghan security forces, helping to secure the base, killing one of them. And that's it for your Midday Roundup. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports Report. Simon Preston is standing by.
Welcome back. It's now time for Midday Sports. I'm Simon Preston. 9 members of Jamaica's team to the World Athletics Under-20 Championships have tested positive for COVID-19. 4 tested positive earlier in the week and 5 persons tested positive in the final set of tests that were done before travelling today. All are asymptomatic and are in isolation. They will not be able to leave Nairobi until September 2. The Jamaican medical staff have remained with the 9 persons and they will be accompanied home by senior staff who have also remained with the group. The main body of athletes and staff are now on their way home. To football we go now, as the Reggae Girls have been drawn in Group C of the first round of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup qualifiers alongside Grenada, Bermuda, the Cayman Islands and the Dominican Republic. The draw took place over the weekend. The Jamaicans will face Bermuda at home in their opener in November and will end the first round at home to the Dominican Republic in April 2022. The top team from this group will advance to the final round of the qualifiers. Reggae Girls forward Tiffany Cameron reacted to Jamaica's group.
I think we have a great chance of finishing first in our league. You know, we're the most experienced country and we're the highest ranked in our group. So I'm expecting us to come out and fight and show that we belong in that #1 spot.
Reggae Boys captain Andre Blake has been named in the 2021 Major League Soccer All-Star team to face the Liga MX All-Star team on Wednesday in California. This is the 3rd time Blake has been named in the MLS All-Star team after previous stints in 2016 and 2019. The Philadelphia Union goalkeeper is the only Jamaican in the 29-man squad. Blake is in the team after recording 8 clean sheets in 17 appearances this season for the Union. Across the Atlantic we go now, as Reggae Boys bound striker Mikel Antonio's West Ham United will host English side Leicester City in the English Premier League at the London Stadium this afternoon. Antonio will be searching for his 2nd goal of the season. West Ham are 9th in the table on 3 points, while Leicester are 11th also on 3 points. Kick-off is at 2 o'clock Jamaica time. And to cricket we go now, as at lunchtime the West Indies had reached 123 for 8 against Pakistan on day 4 of the second test at Sabina Park. The visitors took 5 wickets for 84 runs in the opening session. The West Indies trails Pakistan by 179 runs. Jason Holder 8 and Kemar Roach, who is yet to score, are the batsmen at the crease. The West Indies leads the 2-match test series 1-0. And that is where we'll pull up stumps for now. For your Midday Sports Report, I'm Simon Preston. O'Shane, it is over to you.
Thanks, Simon. And that's the Midday News. I'm O'Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for primetime news on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.